We're back. It's Ender's Game. I've got...
Marissa.
I'm Matt.
Yeah, let's go. And I'm Tucker, the host. We're going to be starting on Chapter 1 of Ender's Game. We're just going to go over some quick analysis, talk about some stuff that we got going on. So Chapter 1, what do you all think of that one?
Well, it's when we introduce our character, Ender Wiggin, whose real name is actually Andrew. He starts with this monitor in his neck.
Yeah, it's like a little thing. They jab it in there, like old Fauci, and they can see through his eyes and balls. Sorry. All right, they can see through his eyeballs. And so they can see what he sees, they can hear what he hears, and so that's kept him out of a lot of trouble. Because, like, the boys down in the yard, they can't mess with him because they see him got the chip in his neck, and they're like, can't mess with that guy.
They see his monitor and they know someone will come to, like, rescue him if he's ever in trouble. But now they get it removed.
Yeah, so they take it out, and he's had it in for a while, because he's a special boy, and the thing that you've got to know about Ender is he's a third. What that means is the governments of the world, the leaders, the hegemony, they have decided they're going to do the rule that they did in China. They tried to do that back in the day, and you can only have 2 kids, but you can have a third, and so they call Ender the third because he's the third child in the family, So they take the monitor out, right?
Stilson,
Yep.
his bully,
Yep.
saw that, Ender got his monitor out, so, physical violence happens.
Mm-hmm. And I would like to add, Stilson's a little bit of a little baby boy, because he decides he's going to rock up to Ender with 2 of his boys, or some of his gang, his whole gang. Ender, at this point, Ender is 6 years of age. He's a little child. He's got no muscle on his bones. He's weak. He's smart, yeah. And Stilson is like 9 or something like that. So he's a giant compared to him. He's got muscles. He's fat. And he rocks up and he's like, I'm going to beat the living stuff out of this Ender kid because he's got his monitor out and he's like, because Ender like ostracized at this point because he's smart as heck. He's running around like one of them chess kids, where you see like beat Magnus Carlsen and they're like 9 years old. He's like one of those guys, And so he rocks up.
Yeah, he gets, I think he actually dies. You don't learn that until a lot later, but that was a big surprise.
They hint it pretty subtly. And something else that happened, which is crazy to me, is Ender actually kicks him while he's down. So what Ender does is he pulls the friggin' jujitsu out of his back pocket. He friggin' kicks him right in the chest, just friggin' bang right there, and Stilson falls to the ground, and Ender's like, I just got him there. I got him good, But what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep kicking him because I'm a psychopath. My name's Ender Wiggin, by the way. And he keeps kicking him he's like, I'm going to win this fight and also the ones in the future because he's a forward-thinking man,
And yeah. Also, speaking of Ender being a psychopath, Peter, his brother, is a psychopath.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
He also has a sister, Valentine.
Yeah, Valentine's
She's very calm
she's calm.
and understanding, very emotional.
Yeah. So let's move on to Chapter 2 now. Chapter 2, Peter, they say Peter is a psychopath, of course. Peter decides they're going to play a little game. They call them buggers and astronauts, right? Yeah. And Peter is like 3 years older than Ender at this point. And I'm not gonna sugarcoat it here, folks. But Peter beats the piss out of Ender, right? And Ender's sad because he just got his stuff beat in. You know what I mean?
Peter actually threatens to kill him there.
Yeah, he does.
And Valentine and Peter kind of know that he's not serious, but they're still scared of him.
Yeah, because Peter's a scary guy, He's the type to capture and torture squirrels, you know? He actually does later in the book, which is crazy. Probably shouldn't have said that, but, you know, that's fine. And so, and Valentine's, she rocks up and she's like, "What's up, blood? You can't be doing that because we got evidence on you. So if either of us die, all this is going to rock the world, you know?" And,
Valentine has leverage.
yeah, she's a smart one, you know? So, yeah, that chapter's pretty short, honestly. So we're going to move on to number 3. Actually, before we move on, you got anything to add to that, Marcel? Extra notes?
At the end of chapter 2, well, Peter went to the bathroom and he came back. When he thought Ender was sleeping, he said that he does love him.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah. He's got a soft spot for that guy.
Yeah, just very small one though.
Yeah, and Ender cries too, because he's a child. Childish child, you know? Sad. Anyway, moving on to chapter 3. Chapter 3, I'm not gonna lie, bit of a nothing burger here. We get some good intel, but it's pretty short. Nothing really too crazy happens. Let's see, what is it? Oh, so they're having either breakfast or dinner. They don't say exactly. Actually, they do, but I don't remember. And they say, like, you know, we're having dinner, right? And Colonel Graff, who is soon to become Colonel Graff, he rocks up to the joint, you know?
He comes with some news and an opportunity. She wants Ender to join battle school.
Oh, yeah. And something else he adds, which I thought was pretty interesting, is he says that, technically speaking, Ender is, like, the parents don't have a choice, so it's Ender's decision alone. And the reason for this is actually, not the reason, but since he's a third, he is technically property of the IF, which is stands for something probably important, I'd say.
Because the only reason to have a third is to send them to battle school.
Yeah. And if it don't go, it's bad.
Yeah, I mean, it is his choice, but it's what you're supposed to do.
And something else I wanted to mention before we move on here, but Graff also does mention that both his parents come from families that they like to have a lot of kids, you know, or as we would call it, he said they were religious and they had a lot of kids. So here's what I'm thinking: they're Mormons, right? What do we think of that?
It's a good theory.
I mean, you know, the chances that, like, both of Ender's parents are Mormons, that's pretty crazy, you know?
Small chances, but yeah.
Yep. Moving on to chapter 4.
Wait, hold on.
Wait, that was
Ender's decision.
Ender's decision. He goes.
He didn't want to go.
Yeah. And Graff even says
he didn't want to leave Valentine with Peter alone.
Yeah.
But Graff did convince him to go.
Yeah. Another thing about Peter is like, he's, as mentioned before, a psychopath. Yeah. And so he'll be like super nice around the adults, but then in the home around the kids, you know, Peter's like, he's a little bit of a scary guy.
She was actually really upset that Ender got to go to battle school, but not him.
Yeah, he was PO'd like a horse that just stepped on a rattlesnake, you know? Or I guess, yeah. So Ender goes, chapter 4, oh, Bernard, of course. We get introduced to Bernard, who is, gonna be an enemy of...
Okay, let's back up first.
Yeah.
He's on the ship.
He's on the ship.
Graff kind of singles him out and tells everyone that he's the best, most smartest kid there.
Yeah, he's kind of like love bombing Ender.
And it gave him a lot of enemies, actually.
Yeah, because they said, like, we want to separate this kid. We want to make him feel insular.
Isolated.
Insular.
Yeah.
And so he's all sad. because the kids are like, oh God, this Ender Wiggin, he's so smart. We gotta beat the pants off this guy, right? And so they're ganging up on him. They're like hitting him. He's just sitting there with his fingers in his pockets, just like ignoring it because he doesn't want it. He's not a confrontational guy. He just beat the crap out of Stilson. He's not excited,
Yeah.
But what he does eventually is he takes this guy Bernard by the arm. He just friggin' yanks his arm because they're in 0G, right? He just yanks his arm, friggin' tosses him like a shot put. He lands against the bulkhead, friggin' breaks his arm.
Yeah.
What do you say about that one?
I don't think he meant to do that.
Oh yeah. He
Not
meant
break
to
his arm at least.
He meant to throw him, but he didn't like fully understand.
Yeah. And I found it funny that like Graf didn't really like stop them at all.
Yeah. Graf was just like, yep, here you go, kids. You can break that guy's arm. It's fine. It'll heal in good time.
Yeah, so they get to the main ship where Battle School is, and they're introduced to all the rules. Like, they don't really care how you behave, but if you like hurt someone and they catch you, they'll do what's called icing.
Yeah. Or they send you back.
Yeah,
planet
send you
side.
back to Earth.
Yeah. And that's sad. For you, because you lose out on your military career.
I picture when Ender gets there, he must like being in a new area with a bunch of new people is scary on its own.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're 6 and it's not even on the same planet,
Yeah.
and all the kids are already like got a grudge against you,
Mm-hmm.
that's scary.
Yeah. He definitely cries a little bit, like a little baby boy.
Yeah.
As mentioned earlier.
He doesn't let anyone see.
Oh yeah. Of course. Excuse me. But speaking of Bernard sort of becomes like this martyr character for the group because he's like he went up against big old small Ender Wiggin, he got his arm broken, so everyone's like, oh, Bernard's like Jesus Christ basically, and he's like, but he didn't die for us since he broke his arm for us, you know what I mean? And so everyone's like circling around him. He's like the people's champ, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's head honcho.
Yeah. And so eventually he starts to the power definitely comes to his head a little bit. And we get this arc. And you called it the Bernard Loves Butts arc, where
Right.
so Ender shows off his intellectual prowess by actually hacking into the
desks.
system, the desks,
Yeah.
the system, and he sends messages signed from Bernard, even though that's not supposed to happen. Like, for example, here, let me find the quote.
He was sending messages, and normally it would tell you who it's signed by, and no one could change that. But he used his brains and figured out how to change it.
Yeah.
It was actually pretty funny. He sent a couple. It was like signed by God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, then Dap was like, oh, I didn't know God was signed into the system.
Right.
Then there's one, the one is, cover your butt, Bernard is watching, from God.
Oh yeah.
And, I love your butt, let me kiss it, from Bernard.
Yeah. So that's pretty much a summary of chapters 1 through 5.
Yeah.
Let's do a bit of reflection.
Mm-hmm.
What was your favorite part?
I think my favorite part was just like the jokes that are made.
Yeah.
This chapter 5 and chapter 6, it's like one was like Bonzo pisses in a plate and it doesn't splash or something like that.
Yeah.
The jokes are just really, really on point, I think. What's also crazy is like Graf shows, like, cause they're like learning, they're like 6 years old, and Graf shows like bloody war footage of Marines just getting their blood and guts just like sprayed all over their face. Can you imagine, like, some guy just explodes right in front of you
When you're sick?
All of you try and imagine that right now.
Okay.
Try and just think about how that would
Hold on.
feel for you, and when you're 6 years old, of course. So they're like sad, You laughing over there, you little chuckle guy?
What was your favorite part, Marissa?
I think the same as Tucker. I like the jokes. That's
Yeah.
the best part.
Because not a lot happens here. Like, there's not a lot of fights.
Yeah.
Not a lot of, busting moves and getting it down.
Yeah. I really like the way they set the hook. Like, for a lot of books, it's hard to pick them up from the first chapter if it's slow. But this one, it was still slow, but I wanted to keep reading, you know?
Yeah.
It was nice.